So when you picture a naval blockade, what comes to mind? Probably massive aircraft carriers, right? A huge fleet leading the charge. But in the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical waterway, the game is completely different. Forcing this passage open isn't about overwhelming force. It's a slow, dangerous, and pretty unforgiving battle of precision and, well, patience.
All right, so to really break this all down, we're going to look at it in 5 parts. First, we'll get into the geography, which basically makes the strait a natural fortress. Then, we'll explore the naval shield that's designed to protect it. After that, we dive into the really tricky stuff, the asymmetric threats of mines and swarms. We'll see why the strategy has to shift to striking the source of those threats. And finally, we'll wrap it all up to understand what a modern blockade actually looks like.
So let's kick things off with what is, without a doubt, the most important player in this whole scenario, the geography itself. In this story, you could say the water and the coastline are the main characters. 21 nautical miles. Just think about that for a second. At its narrowest, that's the entire width of the Strait of Hormuz. That is an incredibly tight squeeze, especially when you consider the sheer volume of global trade that has to funnel through here every single day. In that narrowness, it creates a massive problem. These giant oil tankers, they can't just go wherever they want. They're forced into these very tightly defined shipping lanes, squeezed between shallow reefs and a rocky seabed. This gives them absolutely zero room to maneuver or, evade a potential threat. Let's be honest, they're sitting ducks. Okay, so if you've got these massive, slow-moving targets, how on earth do you protect them? Well, that brings us to the very first layer of U.S. strategy. Setting up a powerful protective shield, both on the surface of the water and, just as importantly, in the depths below. The tip of the spear here is a group of Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. Now, they don't just form some kind of static wall. Instead, they create a moving shield. It's more like a protective bubble that actually travels along with the commercial ships. Their advanced radar systems are all networked together, creating this one shared digital picture of the entire strait. And that allows them to project an invisible dome of missile defense, ready to knock down anything launched from the shore long before it can ever get close to a tanker. But controlling the surface is really only half the story. In these tight, crowded waters, the biggest danger often comes from where you can't see it. To really secure the passage, you have to own the depths. Deep down, hundreds of feet below all that surface chaos, operates the Virginia-class attack submarine. This thing is a pure hunter-killer. Its main job is to use incredibly sensitive sonar to find enemy diesel-electric submarines before they get a chance to lay mines or set up a torpedo attack. And once a threat is found, it's taken care of with a single heavyweight Mark 48 torpedo. So you see how these two pieces fit together, right? It's a perfect 1-2 punch. You've got the destroyers acting as that very visible surface shield, dealing with threats from the air and the coast, while the submarine acts as the silent hunter, making sure nothing can sneak up from below. But a conventional navy, no matter how powerful, isn't the only thing to worry about. The strategy to counter it often relies on unconventional or asymmetric threats. These are things designed to paralyze and overwhelm a technically superior force. Let's talk about the two big ones, mines and swarms. You've got two major headaches to deal with. On one side, you have the mine nightmare, a cheap, silent threat that can stop global trade just on the suspicion that they're there. And on the other side, you've got the swarm attack. Dozens of small, fast boats, maybe going 50 knots, all designed to create chaos and overwhelm defenses through sheer numbers. So, naturally, the countermeasures have to be just as specialized. So, how do you handle the mine problem? Well, you take humans out of the danger zone as much as you can. The whole process is led by robotics. Step 1 is detection, a combination of surface drones, helicopters, and a really cool robotic sub called the knife fish find potential mines. Step 2, another robotic sub goes down for a closer look to positively identify the threat. And finally, step 3, specialized ships use what are called influence sweeps. They basically mimic a big ship's magnetic and sound signature, which tricks the mines into blowing up harmlessly at a safe distance. All right, now for the swarm. When those little boats become too numerous for the destroyers to handle all by themselves, you call in the cavalry from the sky. And this is where two legendary aircraft come into play. You've got the A-10 Thunderbolt II, famous for that tank-busting gay U-8 Avenger cannon that just absolutely shreds these small boats. And joining the party is the AH-64 Apache helicopter, which can just hover over the water and use Hellfire missiles to make surgical strikes, picking off targets one by one. But look,
clearing mines and shooting at boats, that's just putting out fires. It's a temporary fix. You can't just play defense forever and expect to win. To truly secure the strait, the entire operation has to pivot from a defensive posture to an offensive one, to neutralize the very source of these attacks. And that really gets to the core strategic truth of this whole thing. Defense alone just isn't going to cut it. As long as the missile launchers, the command centers, and the boat depots are still intact, the threats are just going to keep coming. You have to go after the root of the problem. And the source of these threats? It's no secret. It's a chain of heavily fortified islands, places like Lorak, Kashm, and Abu Musa. These aren't just islands with a few buildings. They are full-on forward operating bases, packed with radar systems and anti-ship missile batteries, all hidden away in hardened bunkers and rugged caves.
So you've got a target that's literally buried deep inside a mountain. How in the world do you get to it? Well, you need a very specific, very heavy tool for the job. A tool that weighs 5,000 pounds. This right here is the GBU-72, a deep penetrator bomb. And its job isn't to create some massive fireball on the surface. Nope. This thing is literally engineered to punch through yards of reinforced rock and concrete before it goes off, collapsing those underground command centers and missile tunnels from the inside. It's the ultimate key for a geological lock. So, when you take all these different pieces, the ships, the subs, the drones, the planes, these incredible bombs, and you put them all together, you start to see what a modern blockade really is. And trust me, it's probably not what you're imagining. This isn't some grand, sweeping naval battle out on the open ocean, like in the old movies. A blockade in the Strait of Hormuz is a slow, patient, methodical process. It's about systematically taking danger off the board, dismantling the threat network, one hidden bunker and one missile launcher at a time, until the waterway is finally safe for passage. And all of this incredible effort, brings us to one final, really critical question. The whole point of all this is to make sure the strait stays open. But in this day and age, with these kinds of hidden, asymmetric threats, can a strategic choke point like this ever be truly 100% permanently secure?